Hi all, welcome to this Carniball Squad Builder featuring the 4 objective cards that you get this week. Thanks to a lot of folk helping me on Twitter this. I was kind of getting practically there with the squad. It was always one player off chem, but if we could smash the likes for this squad builder would be awesome. Sub to the channel if you're new, follow me on Twitter at @GIsALegend. All the links are down below for playlists on the channel and social media links as always. And remember to hit that notification bell if you are new. So this squad is a bit of a mess, but at the same time it's quite an interesting little squad. We start off with Timo Horn in net. You practically can go any German goalkeeper. I just went Horn because he was untradeable and I wasn't overly fussed about really my goalkeeping choice. I could have went Baumann, I could have went Farman, I could have went anyone, but I thought we'll just go with Horn. Then we've got to go with Marvin Komper because obviously he's German and he helped. I knew you needed Komper. It was just a case of formation. But the way the team kind of went is Kerr. I knew you kind of needed him, but it was the formation that made him work. Because I knew the back four was Komper, Bal, and Kerr or Toljan. It was just a case of how you got the other, how did you get them to basically work? And like Bal's, like the back four is fairly ordinary. There's like Kerr's not great, he gets caught out too much. Same for Komper. Bal's not got the pace, even though I bought him for 300 coins with engine. That was quite impressive. That was a bid, by the way. Toljan, I paid like 3k for him, like I sniped him, but he's not a 3k card. He is absolutely garbage. He just attacks. Like even if you ask him to stay back, he will just attack. But for the midfield three, I genuinely hoped that Emre Can would be the glue in this midfield. But Weah cannot play any further back than striker. You play him as a centre mid in this case to obviously get the team to work. He can't do it. Honestly, he is so bad. Like I really enjoy him as a striker. But see the minute you go and play him as a centre mid, and even though I should have probably changed the team about in game, I didn't, which was maybe partly my fault, but it was actually just intriguing to see how the team would play out. Like Emre Can still felt a bit of a shadow, as I said in my player review of him. Ben Arfa's just stamina was awful. Saying that, we managed to play 90-minute games like 3 or 4 times with him, but it was absolutely draining on his stamina. But I was trying to limit his intensity. I was trying to limit him being pushed hard. I was trying to give that impetus to like Weah to attack, Khedira to kind of drop back, and Emre Can to kind of be like the workhorse. Like Talisca and Paulinho as a front two would never work. You'd just get completely annihilated. And Khedira's not a cam, let's put it that way. Obviously I've put them to centre forwards just to make it work, so that way they're on like 9 chem. But honestly, this team, I wouldn't wish this team on anyone. It's just so bad. Like I know there is much more expensive ways about it. You could, if you had Foot Mosquito and Neuer for example, then you'd be alright. But I would not recommend even remotely building this type of team. Like I'm going to go into a game with it, but I've been in a few games with it since. I've had about half a dozen games with it for a few rage quits. But I want to show you and kind of go in depth about every individual player in this team. Kind of break them all down even further than, like, especially with the 4 objective players. I'd kind of like sit down, break it down. I'll let the game play in the background and I'll kind of just explain each individual pro and con even more about the objective player, because this is where I feel like I know a few people are still going for them, so I feel it'd be useful to talk about. Interesting, we got Brazil objective squad. It was 80 rated, and the guy's team looked, he had high ratings. It was like 8, it was like mid, it was like 81, 79, 82. But anyways, so Brazil objective team, this will be a laugh. No, Morocco will probably get hammered like 3-1 or something. But realistically, with this team, if I was to sit down and actually use this team again, what I would recommend is you obviously stick to this formation to start off with, but obviously before the game, when you go and maybe set your team to defensive or attacking, whatever it may be, what you want to do is put Weah as your striker. You want to keep You can quite easily put Talisca as your second striker, looking at how you've got the team set. Like, due to who you have, you can then look at, or even then, you could still go You could still go like a 4-2-3-1, and you could still just go. That's when you just go away at striker. Then your three cams can be Ben Arfa, Paulinho, and then Talisca. Then your two CDMs can be Khedira and Emre Can, and in that way you've got a balance in midfield and attack, and then obviously keep the back four as it is. But what you'll obviously find is like your comper and all that you've got to kind of rely on the back four just kind of being defensively sound. With Emre Can, I honestly don't know what it is about his card. Like, I've now played about 15 games with him, and I honestly would say in 15 games, like, what has he done? Like, what has he honestly done in 15 games that would make me say he's a card worth owning? Like, I've tried him in about 3 or 4 different teams, and honestly, he does nothing. And I'm constantly going around the pitch trying to make him get to play, or trying to make when I'm getting attacked at by players. I feel like he does nothing. Like, he's not there. Like, I feel like I'm playing with 10 men like 90 minutes. Like, I'm honestly baffled by it. And like, I genuinely thought in this team, for example, that Emre Can would be very much at the front of like my defensive duties in midfield. I feel over the 5 games that I've played that he's not been there at all, like non-existent. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it'll help link up to Cancelo and Ronaldo, but to be honest, that's about it. That is like all he's going to be good for, and he's going to be like an 86 rated card that a lot of folk might actually put into SBCs. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, yes, he's good for hybrids when you look at it now for Bundesliga and Serie A, but I wouldn't exactly go all out to be saying he's a great mid. I'm not enjoying him, and it's a big letdown of that card. Then Ben Arfa, obviously it's his stamina, but saying that, it comes down, a lot of the time as well, it will come down to how you play the card. And I feel over the 5 games in this squad that Ben Arfa played, I feel his stamina, yes, it was pushed, but he managed to cope pretty well. Like, I would say that he will obviously still lack the composure to kind of maybe last the 90 minutes. You've just got to kind of pace him out well. But if you're quite a slow build-up player and you limit your use of him to like go and start on like sprints, but even then you don't necessarily need to rely heavily on sprinting with him. You could still rely quite heavily on just letting him jog, and then relying on whoever else you've got in your midfield, depending how you set up your team. If you've got, say, we'll just say SBC Rabiot, say you've got like a Lego in midfield and it's like SBC Rabiot, for example, you may find that Rabiot does the legwork. That's what I wanted with Can, and that's what I felt Ben Arfa could do quite well. And I feel Ben Arfa's got potential with the right bit of patience with him, but I know a lot of people will find him quite stubborn. And I laugh how Paulinho was the one that scored the goal. I was quite impressed by that, actually. All the eyes would be on Talisca and Ben Arfa and Weah, and it's Paulinho that outshines him with a goal. But for me, I would say still, but like initially a lot of folk would have Ben Arfa as the worst of the 4. I'll actually be honest, Can for me is the worst of the 4 by a country mile. Like, I would say I've not enjoyed him. He's not a fun card to use in the slightest. Like, I may be wrong, I might suddenly find a team that makes him work, like something that clicks. He might suddenly end up in my final squad, which I highly doubt. I doubt he'll get over Player of the Month Goretzka and Royce, but I know theoretically that he's definitely still an option that could slot into that team if need be, depending on how the team ever shaped up. I would then say with Talisca, it's funny how when like for reviews I've seen and for even my own review, I was like concerned. Well, how do we play him? Like CDM centre mid, he doesn't work there, and at cam he does work there, but he's still got his flaws about him as a cam. Like he may go left or he may go right, or he's not always attacking. You've got to kind of adjust the right tactics on him to make him play at cam. And I almost feel in this team I've done that, and I thought by setting him as a striker, I thought great, this will get him to do what I was hoping he would do as a cam. But it wasn't. It was like the opposite. He didn't get any. I think in 5 games he only had about 1 or 2 shots, which was a worry. Paulinho was constantly the one that was actually taking the shots. I think Khedira ended up with more shots than him over the 5 games. I think Khedira ended up with 3 to Talisca's 2. And I thought that's a bit worrying that Talisca, who in all the games we reviewed him in earlier in the week, was constantly getting shots, he was constantly getting free kicks, but in the 5 games here we did not get 1 free kick that was in Talisca range, with anywhere within 35 yards. Not 1 free kick. And that was even, doesn't matter if it was a left foot job or a right foot job, like there was none. Like not 1 person gave me a free kick, which was quite impressive despite the amount of fouls I was constantly getting given in each game. People were constantly tackling Talisca. But I would say, for me, I've just not enjoyed Weah became worse for me to enjoy as each game went. Like you can't play him. If you play him even as a cam, I think you'll still hate him. You've got to play him as a striker. You've got to let him go at defenders, let him work, let him challenge them. That's why I felt in the end as a centre mid he's wasted. It's like he's lost. I'll be honest, I think a better player, even with this team, but more so if you were a better player was to play against this team with a decent team, you would honestly get destroyed like 8, 9, 10-1 quite easily, maybe even 10-0 for that matter. This team would just get constantly found out, the midfield would be non-existent to half an extent because, well maybe even 3/4, because Khedira's not got the pace to keep the midfield at like attacking presence, because you're never going to play Khedira as a cam. That is never going to happen. I would say that Weah would just go missing, Hibernian Can would just go missing, and you just honestly struggle to make it work. In fact, it's out of range. It's not even 35 yards. It's like 40 odd yards. But that's what I mean. Like the team, I think in the end, as I said, if you wanted to do this squad for yourself, you would need you either go the icon way of making it work, where you don't use Comper, you don't use it. Well, I think you would still need to use Toljan to make it work, but in fact you might still need Comper due to the formation. I'll have to check, or you could get away with maybe you maybe not Boyata. But this is what I was finding. Like people were saying, "Oh, give me a team with Tierney and Boyata," but it's like the way the team works, you can't really hybridise it that well. I know icons you could still kind of go with, like Matthias. Maybe you can't really go Matthias. You could still go centre back Matthias, but I highly doubt folk would. But I know people will look at alternatives to try and make this work a little bit better for them. But you've got to remember, the reason why it's this formation, why it's the links that it is to try and get it was to basically get all the objective players on full chem. And that's why you've got a hyperlink for Ben Arfa, hyperlink for Talisca, and then you've got strong links for Weah with a hyperlink for Hibernian Can through Khedira. Like in terms of a squad, I would rate it like a 1 out of 10. It's just not fun. Like I wish I could have enjoyed it, but it's a total dud. I think in terms of how I've set it up, and just how the team just kind of works. It's not, for me, I think individually the players could work. It just comes down to how you've got to kind of maybe set up just that little bit differently. And you never know, if people have got coins to spend for fun, then you never know, it might work. I'm suspecting the second goal is forcing a rage quit, which it does, so that's not too bad on that front. But if we can smash the likes, folks, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the squad builder. What improvements would you give to it, if any? Take it easy all, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all later.